Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of Weekly Reads where we give you 5 book recommendations all in one show. My name is Devon. I work at the Worcester Public Library, just like my co-host Joy. Joy, I kind of accidentally picked 2 books with a romantic theme this week.
Oh no, not again.
I didn't mean to.
Well, do better next time, okay?
I'll try. So most of the things Joy and I are talking about today, you can get online on your phone or device with the Overdrive or Libby app for free. You can also use Overdrive on your laptop or desktop through your browser. And don't forget, we're doing physical pickup of items now. So if you want the print book or a book on CD or anything, you can order ahead online or call ahead and we'll let you know when it's ready. If you're not sure how to do any of that, just call the library or put a comment below and we will help you out. So for now, I'm going to share my screen so that you can see what books we have lined up for you this week. All right, so as usual, I'm going to do the fiction, Joy will do the nonfiction, and we have our coming soon title. All right, so for my first book, this one is Secondhand Spirits. It's the first book in the Witchcraft Mystery series. Juliet Blackwell is actually a pseudonym for an author who writes under several pseudonyms with several different mystery series, but this particular one is her Witchcraft Mystery name. Right now there are 10 books in this series, with the newest one coming out in 2019. So this first one came out in 2009, and in the book, Lily is not your average witch. Her spells tend to draw spirits and keep humans at a distance. But now her vintage clothing store, Cora's Closet, could give her a chance to make friends in San Francisco. With her knack for vintage fashion, she can sense the past from clothing and jewelry. Her store becomes a big hit, until Lily buys some early 20th century clothes from an elderly woman. During the woman's visit, Lily hears the banshee wail of a demon, and that evening, the seller is found murdered, lying inside a pentacle. Then children start disappearing from the Bay Area, and Lily may be the only one who can unravel the crimes. She tries to keep her identity a secret while investigating, but it's not easy, especially under the spells of sexy Mythbuster Max and powerful witch Aiden. Publishers Weekly said the novel is well-paced, with scenes alternating between Lily's day-to-day life at the vintage clothing store, a suspenseful supernatural mystery, and a budding romance. And the Romantic Times said that Lily is a 21st century Samantha Stevens, but of course minus the nose wriggling. This story combines fun and seriousness for an entertaining read. So obviously we're getting closer to Halloween. Maybe you want to read a mystery with a witch in there. It's a great time to do that. So this one is available as an ebook and an audiobook in Overdrive and Libby. Here's one from Joy.
Well, it is indeed getting closer to Halloween, and my first choice for this week is Wasteland, The Great War and the Origins of Modern Horror, which I've read in conjunction with Horror Fest, a film discussion event focused on various horror films. So be sure to join us, and more about that later.
You won't be sorry if you go to Horror Fest.
You will not. Great films. So anyway, anyone who knows me well could probably tell you that I spend an inordinate amount of time on a quest for movies and books, guaranteed to scare me senseless. Yes, I want to be shaking, shivering, cowering under the covers, scared. Unfortunately, not a lot of what I see and read lives up to my expectations. Been there, seen that, read that. 30 years ago, however, when I first saw Nosferatu at a revival house, and if you don't know what a revival house is, just Google it, I was that scared. Flickering images, deep shadows, the exaggerated expressions on the faces of the silent film actors, and of course, the ominous figure of Nosferatu himself combined to give me nightmares. And I'm not the only one. Nosferatu was the first vampire film ever made, And when it premiered in Germany in 1922, audiences flocked to see it. Many became obsessed. In Wasteland, author Scott Poole raises the question, why would the German people, who had endured ruinous war, a humiliating peace, rampant social unrest, near starvation, and a deadly influenza epidemic, be drawn to a movie featuring a repulsive, blood-sucking vampire? And do keep in mind that we are not talking Rob Pattinson or even Bela Lugosi here. Count Orlov, Nosferatu's vampire, is a cadaverous insectoid creature with voracious appetites, who is, sorry Count, just not sexy at all, not one little bit. Poole suggests that the agonies of prolonged trench warfare, along with mechanized weaponry capable of producing mountains of corpses and of reducing living, breathing human beings to fragments no more human than pieces of discarded machinery, raise disquieting questions about just what it means to be human. Could anything as broken as these bodies have souls? And if we humans are indeed soulless, what distinguishes us from other non-human beings or from our own mechanical creations? Poole maintains that great filmmakers, many of them German, channeled these anxieties into inventive, brilliant films, among them Nosferatu, M, and The Cabinet of Dr. Caligari. And their work raised the horror genre to new levels of both intensity and quality. Today's filmmakers admire and continue to strive to emulate these films. In his narrative, Poole casts a wide net, incorporating the voices of a host of political, literary, and artistic figures to recreate the devastated landscape that was Europe between the wars. So are you curious about Nosferatu? Well, you're in luck. This will be the next film that we will be showing as part of Horror Fest next Wednesday at 3 p.m. via Zoom. Be sure to register and join us.
Yes, please do. I did not know about the connection between World War I and some horror imagery. That's really interesting.
He makes a convincing case.
Yeah, it sounds it. All right, here's my next book. So my first book was a mystery with some romance, but this is just a straight up romance. This book came out in 2019. At that time, it was called the Best Book of the Year by Vogue, NPR, Kirkus, Vanity Fair, and more. When his mother became president, Alex became the American equivalent of a young royal. Handsome, charismatic, a genius, his image is pure gold. But there's one problem. Alex has a beef with the actual Prince Henry across the pond. And when the tabloids get a photo of an Alex-Henry altercation, US-British relations take a turn for the worse. Heads of family, state, and other handlers devise a plan for damage control and stage a truce between the two rivals. But what begins as a fake friendship grows deeper and more dangerous than either Alex or Henry could have imagined. Soon, Alex finds himself in a secret romance with a surprisingly unstuffy Henry, which could derail the campaign and upend two nations. This book got starred reviews from everybody: Booklist, Kirkus, Library Journal, and Publishers Weekly. Those are all the big names. Kirkus said, "The much-loved royal romance gets a fun and refreshing update in McQuiston's debut. The love affair between Alex and Henry is intense and romantic, made all the more so by the inclusion of their poetic emails that are both funny and steamy." So I admit when this book first came out, I was just enchanted by the idea of a romance between the kids of two heads of nations, because it really opens up the possibility for a lot of hijinks and, mistakes and things like that. And it sounds like this is getting rave reviews. There's always a wait list for it. So if you're interested, make sure you get your name on the wait list as soon as you can. And here's one from Joy.
Well, my next choice is Wow, No Thank You, a collection of essays by yet another female writer. You may have noticed that I've featured quite a few of those. But fellow readers, if you'd like me to highlight essays by male writers once in a while, feel free to suggest a few, and I promise I will. Samantha Irby is a 40-year-old writer who is proudly Black, bisexual, and fat. Her word, not mine. She is also an unrepentant, sweatshirt-wearing, junk food eating, reality TV watching introvert. She admits that she has few, if any, goals, and maintains that her subject matter is pretty much confined to, as she herself put it, poop. She has Crohn's disease, and romantic relationships that ranged from disappointing to disastrous until, that is, she met the wife she refers to as my lady and settled into a state of marital bliss and boredom in Kalamazoo, Michigan. She continually expresses astonishment that anyone would actually want to read her stuff, but apparently many do. I waited weeks to obtain a copy of Wow, No Thank You through the CW Mars system. I have to admit that, unlike the colleague who recommended this book to me, I am not much of a fan of bathroom humor. And Irby's recounting of a series of embarrassing accidents in unlikely places sometimes left me a bit queasy. Wow, no thank you. Yes, she is painfully honest about her bowels and many other aspects of the life she has lived. Excuse me, I got a little stumbly there. Of her interesting, if not often easy life. But she is also very funny and on the news, insightful. There is something here from the cozily domestic to the riotously raunchy for everyone. One essay entitled Girls Gone Mild describes hour by hour Irby's excruciating attempt to relive her club girl past during a very long night out with friends at the age of 40. In Love and Marriage, she poses as an advice columnist, dispensing nuggets of wisdom to bewildered couples, since now that she is married, she is, of course, fully qualified to do so. In one of her more serious compositions, she recounts just how unsettling it can be to be a mixed race lesbian couple in a red state. And in one of my own personal favorites, she affirms her loyalty to the feline species, go cats, after briefly entertaining the idea of getting, gasp, a dog. And wait, there's more. Irby shares her recipe for cheeseburger macaroni, a concoction she created for her stepchildren as a way to win them over. Are there any step-parents out there who can relate to that? Irby often seems a bit awed by the good fortune that she, a child raised in poverty, has experienced in adult life. In writing about her contribution as a writer to a successful situation comedy that ran on cable, she says, I don't ever want to be the kind of person who is not blown away by the magnitude of getting to make a big, dumb, shiny thing that doesn't cure disease or anything, but brought people some joy. Wow, Samantha Irby, thank you.
Well, I'd heard that book was funny, but that Girls Gone Mild title is really fantastic.
Oh my God, it's so on target.
All right, next is our coming soon title, but before I move to that slide, don't forget to give us some likes and loves if you enjoy our show, and share this with all of your friends who are always looking for book recommendations. All right, and here it is. Our coming soon title is The Cold Millions by Jess Walter. You may remember him from Beautiful Ruins, which was a really popular book. But The Cold Millions is coming out on October 27th, which is, of course, a Tuesday. It is a most anticipated book by the New York Times Book Review, Vogue, The Wall Street Journal, Time USA Today, and a ton of other publications. This book is set against the backdrop of an early 20th century America that echoes our own time. The Dolans live by their wits, jumping freight trains and lining up for work at crooked job agencies. While 16-year-old Rye yearns for a steady job and a home, his older brother, Gig, dreams of a better world, fighting alongside other union men for fair pay and decent treatment. Then there's Ursula the Great, a vaudeville singer who performs with a live cougar and introduces the brothers to a dangerous mining magnate. Dubious of Gig's idealism, Rye finds himself drawn to a 19-year-old activist and feminist named Elizabeth. But a storm is threatening to overwhelm them all, and Rye will be forced to decide where he stands. This book has gotten starred reviews from Publishers Weekly, Booklist, and Kirkus. The famous author, Anthony Doerr, he said, "This book is a literary unicorn. It's about socioeconomic disparity, but also a page-turner, a postmodern experiment that reads like a potboiler, and a beautiful lyric hymn to the power of social unrest in American history. It's funny and harrowing, sweet and violent, innocent and experienced. Jess Walter is a national treasure." So I just think this book sounds fantastic. I love historical fiction. I like that the storyline kind of lines up with what we're going through right now in the US. So if you're as interested as I am, make sure to put a hold in the catalog on the print copy. There's not anything in Overdrive or Libby yet, but hopefully there will be soon. And that brings us to the end of our episode for this week. Don't forget that if you're looking for a book suggestion or an author similar to your favorite author, you can just put that in the comments below. And Joy and I are taking suggestions on books to review, so feel free to put those in. Otherwise, we hope to see you next time.
See you later, fellow readers.